Hey, welcome back to my channel. We are doing something a little different today. We are reacting to things on the internet. I came across some things on the internet, reading Reddit, things on Instagram, and sometimes people send things to me and they're like, hey, what do you think about this? And I just thought, okay, let's do some reaction videos. And I am very nervous because I don't mean to make fun of people on the internet, and that's actually not my intention. So I've been very careful with what I select, but you know, there are some things that I just have opinions on, and you know what? It's the internet and it's America, and I can have an opinion, just like people are gonna have an opinion on the work that I do. This very first one, there's actually like two Am I the Assholes on Reddit that I think have similar backgrounds, but let's do it. Okay, I, 16 female, was on holiday last week with my mother, who's 48, and her best friend Rita, and her husband Mark and son Jake. Mum is 48 and Rita is 46. Rita and my mother have been best friends since their teenage years. Rita had been quite overweight since her and her mum were teenagers, but recently lost weight last year. I can tell this really upsets my mum, but that's not relevant to the story. This sudden weight loss has been due to Rita's diet. She only eats between 12 and 5 and doesn't have any sugar at all. She drinks copious amounts of water and coffee. In my opinion, this is not healthy, but is Rita's choice. Over the weekend, we were away and Rita constantly commented on everything I ate and drank and made snide comments about my body. She seemed to take real issue with how much I ate. It came to a head on the last night of the holiday. I had a big steak and tonic water. When I ordered the tonic water, the waiter asked what type I wanted, and Rita chimed in saying I better get slimline and watch myself. Her husband looked shocked, but I didn't say anything. You guys already know where all of this is going. Later, she commented on how much of the steak I had eaten and told me I should skip dessert. When Jake insisted I share a sundae, I said yes. This really set Rita off. She told me to stop being such a greedy pig and to stop eating because I'm so chubby already. I'm slimmer than her. You know, which I can tell that the person writing this is like, not that that's the point, but there is a little bit of an irony there. When I told her to shut up and get a grip, she tore into me calling me names and insulting my looks. I told her to shut up, and I don't need to follow her stupid diet to look good. Here's where I could be a huge a-hole. I told her I still looked better than her, and my current diet, which is no diet, works better than hers ever could. I know this was absolutely horrible of me because many people, including myself, are incredibly insecure about their weight. Rita got incredibly angry and called me a vicious cow and a few other words I don't care to repeat. I told her to grow up, and then her husband dragged her away. Rita is very angry at me still, and so is my mother. Jake finds this funny and doesn't really like his mom anyway. My dad is absolutely disgusted by Rita and my mom for not defending me. I'm not sure if I am or not though, the asshole. Edit. Rita has been making comments about my body since I was about 10, and this was the first time I've ever said anything back to her. I've complained to my mother before, but she said it's normal for people to call out what they see, so I stopped complaining a few years ago. Edit update again. Thanks for all of your support. I do still feel bad about my reply to her, but I see now it was justified. Okay, so again, one of the other reasons I was like, okay, yeah, let's do some reaction videos is because it just brings up common challenges that people have or fears they have. And I'm also hoping to just like help educate people on interacting with people in real life and on media. And this kind of thing is really important to discuss. There's so many things here. First of all, at the very beginning, she mentions that she can tell that her mother's friend's weight loss really bothered her mother. And this is a common thing. It's so triggering for a lot of people who feel like they've had some camaraderie or someone else is in this with them. And then when that person starts making changes in their life, it is a little bit of a petty thing that we do sometimes feel just jealous, angry, feeling of like abandonment. Like, I didn't get invited to be on this diet. And when someone else is like in the thick of it with you, of say dealing with weight issues of any kind, including dealing with amenorrhea recovery and things like that, it's easy to feel like maybe you're doing something wrong because they're taking steps to change things about themselves. But what we see here is that Rita has taken a very intense approach, an evangelical about intermittent fasting and restriction approach. And obviously both Rita and this writer's mother have trauma and just complete problem with their body image, and they have since a very young age. And what we have to remember with older people too, like, yeah, that older generation, it was so common. It was totally normal place to not only comment on bodies, but comment negatively on bodies. And the younger generation who is a bit more open to, hey, maybe we are a bit more body positive, or maybe we don't bring people down for their weight, or maybe we don't comment on those things. We're aware of it and we're like victims of it sometimes. And it can be really difficult. And I deal with it with my clients all the time who like their parents or their grandparents or someone is making comments about them. So I think just the sheer fact that the people saying the comments are obviously coming from a place of their own pain, like their own self-confidence issues, that's the first place you need to go. You need to hear comments from others and think, okay, well, what does this actually say about their relationship with their body? And I know that can be hard to do, but it really is the very first step, is to have compassion and understanding for why they might be saying what they're saying, how maybe it's even coming from a place of concern or love, even though it might be misguided. I think in this one, you know, Rita is just like on her high horse kind of thing, and is just like so evangelical about her approach that like the fact that other people aren't tripping over themselves to like drag themselves through whatever torment she's dragging herself through, it's just enraging to her, right? So I think that's like the message of this particular one, is like we have to just understand that like what these people are going through is not actually relevant to you. Like nothing Rita said is actually relevant to this person at all. And it sounds like her mum is very much like a people pleaser and wants to fit in and wants to like have whatever everyone else has, and that's why, you know, she's upset with her daughter instead of standing up for her daughter. So yeah, just mad compassion when parents and grandparents and just like people say things about your diet and act like their diet is the be all and end all. That ain't good. Okay, next. There's like a couple videos from the same person that I wanted to share. So this is from some chick who's both on TikTok and Instagram.
I am Jose Mourinho.
Yeah, so my body masking every pregnancy symptom for 6 months? I don't know. I think you didn't have a period. Before I go on, let's watch the second video.
So I get on stage, right?
So here's the thing with this one. This is loaded. I don't want to be mean to this person. But the thing is, this person is a fitness influencer. And if you are a fitness influencer, you cannot ignore hypothalamic amenorrhea, okay? So look, maybe she doesn't know about it, but she didn't have a period for like 6 months before she found out she was pregnant. And I've watched a ton of her videos to just like confirm and learn this. And she's really like excited about it, proud that she went so far in her pregnancy without knowing, because she didn't get a baby bump for quite a while. I mean, there are just tons of videos of hers that are just like, I didn't know I was pregnant because I still had abs and I still was working out and I just didn't know, and my body masked all of these symptoms. And it's like, first of all, no, it didn't. You didn't have a period. Like, end of story. So unless she literally had a period and got pregnant and then it disappeared and she just totally was too busy to notice, I have a feeling she's very used to not having a period, and she hasn't had a period in a long, long time. So it was normal to her. And then something happened where maybe she went on a vacation, or she did eat a bit more, she did a bulk, or she backed off training for a little period of time and she ovulated. She happened to also get pregnant on that very first ovulation, or one of a few rare ovulations perhaps, that maybe she goes a long time between periods. So it's normal for her to go like 3, 4, 6 months. But there's no way she was cycling regularly and then had her period disappear and didn't go, oh my gosh, I wonder if I'm pregnant. Like, if you're used to cycling and then you're not, suddenly you're not, you'll go and have a pregnancy test. You would start looking at it. So I can tell that she is used to having no period. And then on her profile is very much like glorifying sort of her lifestyle and her super lean body and how much she can work out and all of that stuff. And I just think it's a little bit irresponsible. And that's my personal opinion, of which I am entitled to have. If you're gonna put stuff out on the internet, you know, people are going to say stuff about it, so that's okay. But I wanted to share a reaction to a video like this, because there's many like this, that it's so easy for us to look online at social media at other people who are working out really hard and claiming that everything's fine and assume that they're super lean and they're working out all the time and they're dieting all the time. Assume that, oh, well, they must have it all together because otherwise they would be on the same journey as me. And that's not true. There are a lot of people out there who are dealing with health issues, either totally oblivious to it or ignoring it in the pursuit of being like a thin, super fit influencer person online. So I don't want you to ever look at someone online and think they have it all together, because although this person is like glorifying the fact that she didn't know she was pregnant for 7 months, and then also promoting like how fit she is and how like all these things about tips for training when pregnant, yada yada, it's like, just no. Ooh, okay. Am I the asshole for telling a girl to stop wasting food? I, 21, usually always sit with my friends in the same group of people at my university dining area. There's this girl who I've talked to a few times, but I'm not really friends with. She's kind of quiet, but when she finally talks, she seems normal. I sat across from her a few times and noticed how she was eating because it was weird to me. Now, she eats maybe half of her food. Keep in mind, you control the amount of food. It's cooked by the cafeteria style, buffet style, and she could easily take less, and kind of plays with it on her fork and says when she's done, aka she eats half of the food or even less. I didn't say anything for a while, but a few weeks ago, I had to ask her why she always only ate half of her food. She seemed to be embarrassed, but answered that she thought she was more hungry than she was and laughed it off. I then asked her why she made this mistake every time we ate and that she must have learned by now. She didn't really answer. I don't actually remember, but it wasn't actually an explanation, and left pretty quickly. She doesn't really show up that much anymore, but when she does, she still eats like this, and I couldn't hold it in anymore. I asked her once again, and also asked her if her parents never told her not to play with her food. It was a genuine question, but some people are raised in households where manners aren't important, but obviously they are for most people. She got really mad at me and told me to stop commenting on her eating habits and that it was none of my business. I told her it absolutely was, since she was sitting at our table and obviously wasting the food, and left and threw out the rest of her food. Again, after she left, one of my friends told me to leave her alone, and she seemed like she was having a hard time and maybe had some sort of issue with food. Yeah, obviously she has an issue with food. She keeps wasting it. She hasn't shown up again, and I'm assuming she buys her own food now, which might teach her not to waste it, so that's good. The same friend who told me to leave her alone keeps pestering me to apologize to her, but I think she should apologize to me. She's unnecessarily rude when being asked the most basic and obvious questions, and also told me to go and myself. That's way more harsh than anything I've told her. Keep in mind that I care a lot about food waste and the environment. Am I the asshole for telling the girl to stop wasting food? You are the asshole. And I can also see here that this one already had a bunch of people respond and said like, okay, I'm the asshole. I'm not studying to be an eating disorder specialist. I looked up stuff about it and I'm realizing I was too harsh. I apologize next time I see her and try not to be so rude or whatever. It's like, you shouldn't have to be studying to be an eating disorder specialist to have this information. So let's dive in. I'm also a huge on the environmental factor and anti-waste. My husband and I recycle everything. We do not ever throw out food, and we actually are very consistent with composting. So I actually feel and hear where this person is coming from. And at the very beginning, I'm like, oh yeah, that is super annoying to see people waste food. Like, I've been there. I know people who like, they will buy like a full-on dinner knowing full well they're gonna eat like a quarter of it. Take the rest home in a box, put it in the fridge. Great, wonderful, love it. Never eat it again, and just like keep buying like fresh or new food. Like they just, you know, I don't get it. I don't get it. But the thing is, you know, her friends are totally right that like she could have an issue with food, and most people do. And it's not really appropriate for anyone to ever feel self-conscious about how they eat. You know, I've had experiences the opposite, where I've had a lot of food on my plate and I eat all of that food. And I've had people comment on it. I love this part of like, she's unnecessarily rude when being asked the most basic and obvious questions. But how interesting is it that this person is just putting her shit on this poor girl? Is it ideal that she's wasting this food? Absolutely not. Are there probably other ways to have this conversation from a a better avenue? I think so, and I think that's worth discussing, right? Because I do think food waste is important, and I do kind of think that just because you might have disordered eating doesn't mean it's like okay for you to waste food. But aggressively telling someone like, didn't anyone ever teach you manners, and like, how come you do this, is just so Karen. It's just such a Karen move to get on this girl about how she's eating, and she's potentially even putting more food on her plate, pushing herself or hoping to eat more and working towards eating that whole plate. Like, that's the thing, you just don't know. You just don't know. And you have to have a more established relationship with someone before you really start to make questions about that. But if you are going to, I think you have to like make it more about you, like talk about how you don't like, I don't like wasting food, and I always take the rest home, or even say, hey, are you gonna eat that? Because maybe I'll take the rest home if you're not. I'm just don't want to waste it, and you make it more about you and your beliefs and less about that person. Because here's the other thing, we always think we are right. We always think our beliefs are like the be all and end all, right? Like we're correct. But in this person posting this and then getting everyone's feedback, how eye-opening is it to see that, like, even though you're coming from a good place and thinking that you are holier than thou, there is a whole other perspective out there. This is why we have to have compassion for where other people are coming from, where their relationships with food are coming from, or where their concerns about body image or your body image are coming from. Because this person who made these comments probably isn't thinking at all about eating disorders or at all about food. She's just literally thinking about the environment. Whereas the other person, all they think about is food and their body and what it all means. I think the lesson here is that in all of these clips today, we have no idea what someone else is going through. We're entitled to our opinions, but we should open up and have a little bit of compassion. For the TikToker that I said before, that one, I'm just like, I feel pretty strongly in my opinion that she knows better and is with a huge following, is in an obligation to put out better information and not perpetuate stuff like that. But I'm also aware that she may not know. I look at it and I cringe, but she may not know. And my whole goal here is at least for someone to hear this and for them to learn and for them to know. Okay, this was my first attempt at a reaction video. I hope you liked it, that it was helpful. I wouldn't mind doing more of them. So if you come across anything on the internet, guys, send it my way and I can include it in the video. They're from Instagram, which is Dani Sheriff, or the HA Society on Instagram, or Dani Sheriff on TikTok, or shoot it to us, in the comments below. Like, please let us know. And do not forget to like and subscribe to this channel. We release new episodes every week, sometimes twice a week, if you're lucky. Bye.